Welcome to the 8th century monastic site of St. Maelruain, going back 1,200 years. He was part of the Ceili Day movement. You can see this is the original church tower, and the church would have been attached. That's why the Gothic window is in the old church doorway. You can see the outline of the ridge roof of the medieval church. And you can see a little ledge there above those windows, beneath the folly windows. They show the roof level. And here you can see the hexagonal stairway, turret, and a spiral staircase. And as I say, you can see the modern church of 200 years was built parallel to the tower and linked by a lobby. A Gothic style semple. You're very welcome to St. Maelruain's church, so please come on in and view it. You can see that it is a little country church, and it would have originally been plastered, which was stripped off at least 50 years ago. On your left is the new organ, and on your right we turned round the pews for the choir. You can see the screen, the reredos screen with Alpha and Omega. Christ said he was the complete, the A to Z. And in the center panel, the wheat and grapes representing the bread and wine at communion. Now, I never really have got a satisfactory answer to the Star of David, but I suppose it reminds we Christians of our Jewish roots. One of the best windows is hidden to the right. I think it was in memory of a previous rector, to challenge his successors. It is the sower sowing the good news. Some fell on the path of hard hearts, in the crevice of the shallow heart, or amongst the weeds of materialism that choked it. You can see the fabulous west window, which floods the church with light when you enter. And the reply to the sower, some seed fell on good land, which gave many 100 times the harvest of believers. And you can see the angels at the end of time reaping the harvest of believers. I do enjoy the fact that this is in memory of the previous rector's wife and daughters. I wouldn't like to say doing the harvesting. St. Maelruin's Mothers Union, that's a union you haven't heard of, but it was the original parenting course to support young mums as cities became industrialised and they were rearing their children away from the support of their own mothers. You can see our pulpit is low and to the side, like what you would have had in Catholic churches in the past. The baptismal font is inside the back door. As soon as the child enters the building, they are welcomed into the family of God. And you can see the cover on it is in memory of two church choir boys, because it's very near the organ where the original choir was, the old organ. Here we have a tablet to Allington, and we think of the housing estate opposite the old mill, or St. Bridget Burke's, what was St. Bridget Burke's. These old tablets were probably from the original church. You can see in the west window a sample of Evie Hone's work, stained glass artist, the equivalent of Harry Clark, female equivalent. She would have thrown it out, but it was rescued by Patrick Pye, who kindly gave it to us. The old organ here, that would have cost twice as much to repair as to replace. You can see Hancock's tablet, and his book, The History of Tallaght. And in the corner, our exhibition of the history, and including the St. Maelruin's Missal in the Royal Hibernian on Dawson Street, and the Martyrology of Tallaght. It's like a saint's calendar. And I think it's terrific in the centre of the new Dublin GAA jersey. Instead of the three burning castles, we have St. Maelruin's Missal and St. Maelruin's Cross. I think it's terrific that Tallaght has got such a good shout. But of course, we do go back 1,200 years. Or at least the site does. You can see here a tablet in memory of a previous rector or parish priest. This one is in memory of Canon Alexander. He was here at the time of the population explosion when the city moved out to Tallaght, and we were able to stand alone apart from Clondalkin and Rathcoole parishes. St. Thomas, not doubting, but St. Thomas of India, because the nurses locally believe that Doubting Thomas brought the faith directly to them in Kerala in southern India. Here we have our map of the new parishioners of the last 20 years from all over the world, as you can see, but mainly from Nigeria and India, but many other African countries as well. There's the new digital organ on your left that replaced the old organ, because the old organ had a very narrow keyboard. This is the west window that isn't blocked by a tower, and hence floods the back of the church with light to welcome you on arrival. St. Maelruain's cross, the oldest cross, probably wasn't his, but it's set in a millstone known as Maelruain's loaf and missal. Oisín Kelly, who carved the children of Lear in the Garden of Remembrance, and also Evie Hone's penal cross. His daughter still lives in the parish. And Patrick Pye, modestly described as a painter, he certainly would have been an artist and a church artist. George Otto Sims, the previous primate of all Ireland, and a great Book of Kells scholar, even wrote a little children's book on the Book of Kells. And the reason he's buried here is that he married a local woman called Gwyn, and Oisín Kelly did likewise. Here is Canon Alexander's predecessor, and it has been recently restored. This is Canon Alexander's grave, and we only buried his wife recently, in possibly her mid-90s. Evie Hone's penal cross, and that was modelled on a penal cross she wore and carved by Oisín Kelly. You can see it's at the beginning of the path to the Bellegarde Road, and here we're down at the wall onto the Bellegarde Road, and Elizabeth Rivers was a friend of Evie Hone's, and might have had a few stones thrown at her by kids for daring to wear trousers on the Aran Islands in the 1930s. Here we're into the older part of the graveyard to the left of the church, and it always fascinates me how quiet it is as you hear the birds. Dare I say, a sanctuary. I wouldn't like to say in the middle of a concrete jungle, but it does fascinate me how still it can be in amongst the trees. You can see the modern part of the graveyard opposite what was the IT College, now the Technical University of Dublin Tallaght campus. But we'd like to remind them that Tallaght has been a place of learning back 1,200 years, long before the college arrived. You can see how the church stands separate from the tower, and it is similar to Semple's other churches locally of Kiltiernan and Whitechurch. And the tower, it used to be a great treat after local schools. There are 40 local schools. After visiting the church and asking me all the questions, I used to bring them up the tower as a reward. But unfortunately, insurance no longer allows anyone go up the tower. And they used to get such fun out of the little turret, picking out where their homes were. Originally, if they were making a tour of Tallaght before drones, they would have shot from our terrace, being one of the tallest buildings, before the skyscraper the other side of the square shopping centre. You can see our modern hall built in the allotment gardens of the church cottages, and you can see the one-room schoolroom, rather like in Ryan's daughter, protruding out the back of the master's cottage, where he could have walked directly in. The bell is about 100 years old, and while it's rung by a computer timer, still has that lovely tone of a genuine bell. You can see we're part of the worldwide Anglican Communion, and hence we've been blessed by many different immigrants. While it might be closed during the week, please feel free to contact me, and I gladly open it for you. And I'm here all Sunday morning, but throughout the week you can phone me on 086 80 30 23 9. 086 80 30 23 9.